Welcome everyone to the first ever Saturdazed Halloween special. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are so kind. Thank you. But yeah, Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, so doing a special for the season was kind of inevitable for this channel. I was kind of on the fence of what I wanted to do for this episode until I heard a voice calling out to me from the void. Wishbone. 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 Wishbone is a PBS classic that aired from 1995 to 1997, and it centers around a Jack Russell Terrier named Wishbone. Every episode had two plots that ran parallel to one another, one revolving around Wishbone and his owner Joe, set in the good old 90s, and then a secondary plot in which Wishbone would reenact the major story beats of some famous book from the past. You know, all the familiar ones from your grade school reading lists like Treasure Island, Oliver Twist, Sherlock Holmes, Faust? Really? Faust? Man, I'm getting some serious high school flashbacks to spark noting the shit out of that book. Oh boy. I wonder if watching the Wishbone episode would have helped me to understand what the hell is happening. There is a two-part Halloween special of Wishbone devoted to the legend of Sleepy Hollow, but Ian from the channel Brutal Moose already did a phenomenal job covering this episode that I see no point in retreading that ground, even though it is one of the episodes I remember most. If you haven't heard of Brutal Moose, definitely go check out his channel here on YouTube. He's definitely one of the main inspirations for me starting my own channel. So today we'll be taking a look at the Wishbone episode titled Frankenbone. I'm sure all of you out there already know what story this episode is referencing, and if you don't, well, you gonna learn today. The episode's not directly tied to Halloween specifically, but it's got some dark themes throughout and it's set during fall, so I thought, why not take a look? Plus it's got bone in the title, and that's pretty scary, right? The episode opens with Wishbone's owner Joe building some nondescript dinosaur skeleton for some school science fair project. I guess Joe is too preoccupied creating his own companion out of a pile of bones instead of paying attention to the pet he already has, which might explain why Wishbone spends so much time alone reading famous novels instead of playing fetch with his master. Kinda sad.
Yeah, well, this is starting to look like something.
I guess.
Does Joe even know what he's building? Is he supposed to be building a life-size dinosaur skeleton for a grade school project? Also, where did he get all these bones from? I think Joe might be a murderer.
It's kind of a drag right now because I can't... Oh, no!
Oh, Joe, I'm so sorry.
This glue won't hold.
Joe's visited by his friend David, who must have just gotten back from reffing the local soccer game. And David proceeds to hype up his own super secret science fair project.
Mine's a little different, and I don't want anybody to see it until I'm ready.
Bitch, please. A secret scientific experiment. Boy, that'd be a great story for a book.
As per usual, the day's activities have triggered Wishbone's uncanny knack for remembering old stories. Wishbone's passion for these books is quite the superpower. Like, is he some sort of savant? Either that or it's some rare mental illness that causes him to play out these elaborate delusions as some sort of escape from reality. Joe, Wishbone's crying out for help. Why won't you listen?
Frankenstein, a young student of science, conducted his own secret scientific experiment. It's one of the greatest monster books ever, and the scariest, the spine-tingliest, the flat-out spookiest. I'm rambling, sorry. Victor Frankenstein grew up in Geneva. It's only a model.
Now lost in his own head, Wishbone has become renowned scientist Victor Frankenstein, who might I say is looking quite adorable in his little golden vest. Who's a cute little mad scientist? You are! Anyways, Frankenstein is attending a panel about recent scientific breakthroughs, and he's basically like, yes, that's all well and good, but what about death? Frankenstein was definitely that weird emo kid who sat in the back of your high school anatomy class and muttered to himself during the pig heart dissection. Frankenstein is warned that pursuing such dark arts, like reanimating a corpse for example, is a big no-no. But to this particular dog scientist, being told that something is a no-no is a no-no. I'm an amazing scriptwriter. Back in the present tense, Joe and the gang are getting a similar lecture on the importance of science. David, the sneakiest of hype men, sees this as another golden opportunity to raise some more curiosity from his classmates about his science fair project.
Is it alright if our science project moves?
Moves?
Well, sort of.
No, what kind of stupid question is that?
Well, actually, it's about the secret of life. How to make something come to life that isn't alive.
Well, you may be setting your sights too high, but who knows? In your experimentation to find the secret of life, you might stumble across something a little more practical.
I'm getting kind of concerned for David's sake. Like, I really hope he's not going to pull an Ed Elric and try to revive his dead mother in his basement or something. Later that day, Joe is back at work on his own science fair project and has a truly riveting conversation about glue with his neighbor Wanda.
Oh, we didn't like this glue. Now, I invented this glue because I got fed up with all those toxic store-bought brands. They melted the macaroni right off of my artwork. I needed a glue that wouldn't do that.
Sure, that's why you invented this super potent glue for your macaroni art.
Oh, it is? Are you kidding?
After working really hard on his project for a bit, Joe decides to pay his friend David a visit in the hopes of maybe catching a glimpse of David's elusive project.
Let me see it. See what? Your science fair project.
Of course, David's all, "It's a secret," and "No one's allowed to see but me." It basically tells his good pal Joe to get lost.
Oh, no!
I mean, geez, Joe, can't you see I'm trying to play God in my garage? Leave me alone, for crying out loud.
Really? That's what he was hiding? This rejected Doctor Who villain piece of junk? Things are also cooking up with Frankenstein as he's putting the final touches on his own creation amidst a spooky thunderstorm. I'm sure this is familiar territory for most viewers, like we all know what's gonna happen next. The monster is gonna be brought to life through some concentrated volts of electricity, and Frankenstein's gonna exclaim, "It's alive!" and all that hoo-ha. Like, it's something people have probably seen in some form of media at this point already, but most likely with a less adorable actor playing the titular doctor. Even if this were to be a kid's first exposure to the story and the characters, the show does a pretty good job of capturing the essential mood and emotions of the story. It's a genuinely eerie scene with lots of smoke and lighting effects, spooky atmospheric music, and the monster looks pretty creepy too, with some pretty gruesome stitches and this one glossy white eye. Ugh. Thankfully, he doesn't look like some stupid cliched green-skinned abomination one might see as a budget costume at Party City. Hi, I'm Frankenstein. Honestly, this scene's pretty well done. The dude playing the monster is no Boris Karloff, but he's leagues better than Aaron Eckhart and that Steve Jobs endorsed I, Frankenstein. He definitely conveys the sensitive nature of the monster and its desire to be treated as a human, and you even feel sympathetic towards him after he's been rejected by his master. Kudos to Wishbone for staying accurate to the source material, though they kinda glossed over the fact that the monster is just made up of a bunch of dead people chunks that Frankenstein dug up from a graveyard somewhere and then stitched back together. I get why they left that out, but for some morbid reason, I kinda wanted to see this dog try to pull off a grave robbery. Back in the real world, Wishbone is wandering around town unattended during a thunderstorm because Joe could care less about his dog at this point, and Wishbone happens to arrive at David's house just as his secret project is brought to life by some bolt of lightning. You'd think that this is the 21st century, David could have just installed an on switch for his robot, but nope. I guess lightning is the only force in the universe that can be harnessed and put to scientific use according to the logic of this show. Like, there aren't any more plausible ways to get some electricity to power your electrical device? I mean, was David's plan just to leave this robot out in the rain, short circuit style, and hope for the best? Okay, I'm overanalyzing this, I know. In David's defense, while it's certainly not as groundbreaking as reanimating living tissue, it's actually somewhat impressive that this air conditioning unit on wheels is able to drive around without falling apart. I also like how David decided to paint his robot like the floor of a laser tag arena. It's a nice touch. Meanwhile, in Wishbone's book-filled brain, The monster treks across Europe, Indiana Jones style, with a fresh new haircut to boot, and he's still clearly angry at Frankenstein for bringing him to life and everything, and for making him smell like 15 different dead people. In order to vent these frustrations, he decides that the best way to get the Mad Doctor's attention is by chasing locals around and dumping their groceries all over the place. Oh, and you know what'll really show Frankenstein how much you despise him? By poorly reenacting the stealth segments from Metal Gear Solid. Duh. Well, this strategy works somehow, and Frankenstein moves to confront his own creation after turning him away.
Come and get me, Frankenstein!
Why did I have to make him so powerful?
I'm sorry, what? I did not edit this in the slightest. This is exactly how it plays out in the episode. I'm not sure who had the bright idea of having Frankenstein be all, look at how powerful and intimidating my creation is, like, what a monster. And then following it up with this shot of him falling over like a big doofus. It just doesn't work. I guess a few days later, the two meet again in yet another secluded forest to hash out their problems. Like, man, that must have been super awkward for Frankenstein. Just taking my morning walk, and what a beautiful morning it is. So peaceful, so quiet, so... Oh, shit. There's that freak I created who's been killing all those people. Just avoid him, maybe he'll go away. Ah, shit, he saw me. Guess I'd better go say hello.
If I had a friend to love and care for, I would kill no more. I would take my friend and go away. You would never hear from me again.
Make another monster who could cause destruction the way you do? Never! I will not!
If you do not do as I ask, I will continue to wreak havoc everywhere I go, Frankenstein. You will have no peace while I am lonely.
Damn, someone get this man an Oscar. I hate to break up this incredibly emotional moment, but I'm sure all of you out there are just dying to know what Wanda's up to. Like, you guys remember her, right?
Oh, it is. Are you kidding?
So yeah, back in the real world, Wanda and her hubby are out taking a nature walk, when suddenly their glue-huffing excursion is interrupted by David's rampaging robot. Though the two of them presumably think the heap of bolts is just a hallucination caused by the glue fumes.
Like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Joe, David, and Wishbone know that this unassuming droid could potentially be the next Terminator, and therefore run after it before it starts shooting up police cars with a minigun. After a somewhat dorky, Buster Keaton-esque chase sequence, the trio finally catches up to David's secret project as it's trying to get it on with a trash can. With the episode now winding down, Frankenstein has ventured all the way to the Arctic to stop his creation's reign of destruction. And since he's done a pretty bad job so far, he kinda just gives up and falls victim to delirium while aboard this dude's landlocked ship. While asleep, Frankenstein is visited by his monster, who's gone full Alice Cooper at this point. The monster shows remorse for killing all those people and destroying all their groceries, and forgives his master for mistreating him in yet another performance worthy of the Academy's attention.
He can't hear me. He's delirious. Tell him that I will go away, and that he will hear from me no more. I will cause no trouble. Tell him I am sorry. I brought only misery to my maker. You mean that? After all that has happened, you love him? He gave me life.
In the final scene of the episode, Joe is showing off his oddly proportioned dinosaur skeleton to his friends, and I have to say, I feel more sorry for this creature than Frankenstein's monster. I mean, look how small this thing's head is compared to its body. Spurred by the lightning outside, this frankly stupid robot has another spastic fit, and just destroys the entire science fair like a complete asshole. Damn it, David, couldn't you just make your robot, like, remote controlled or something?
Nice to meet you. Helmets Walker, Helmets Walker, Helmets Walker, Helmets Walker, Helmets Walker, Helmets Walker. Sorry guys, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Extinction comes early for one dinosaur.
What happened?
Well, I made CX-12 so sensitive to nature that lightning brought him to life. Wow, that proves that nature really is powerful.
And that concludes this edition of Science Dog. I'm Wishbone. Thanks for watching.
Well, that pretty much concludes this episode of Wishbone, save for the little scene at the end where they show a little behind the scenes footage from the episode. I do remember every episode doing something like this, which is pretty cool honestly. This one focuses on the makeup artist and how she created the monster's book accurate look for the show. You can definitely tell that this lady put hours of hard work into designing the makeup for the monster. It just kinda sucks since in the grand scheme of the episode, the monster really doesn't have a whole lot of screen time. All in all, this episode was decent, probably not the best Wishbone episode out there, and while the production value and acting are on point as usual, I wouldn't say the episode is a really great substitute for the book. All the scenes trying to recreate Mary Shelley's work are extremely bare-boned, pun intended, to the point of feeling almost rushed. It's understandable though, since the episode's barely over 20 minutes long with 2 crisscrossing plot lines, so I can't really dock it too much for that. And honestly, it doesn't get much better than watching these actors try to maintain their composure while acting opposite from this dog.
Ooh, that concludes the spooky tale of Frankenstein.
I know it's not the spookiest thing ever, but I hope you guys still enjoyed taking a look at this Wishbone episode with me today, even though it didn't have any jump scares in it. I hope all of you guys out there have a safe and happy Halloween, and be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. See you guys next time.